Ever get blindsided by something that just seemed to come out of nowhere,
Yeah.
like a real curveball? Makes you wonder how you missed it.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's what we're talking about today. We're diving into a story that highlights something most people don't even know exists.
Oh, this is juicy, isn't it?
It is. Minority shareholder rights. It's not just abstract business stuff, though. This is about real people.
Right.
Like James Maggard, who owned 40% of an S-corp
Wow.
and still got slammed with a massive tax bill
No way.
for income he never even received.
You're kidding.
Nope. Because of decisions the other shareholders made.
That's awful. What can you even do in that situation?
Well, that's why you're here, to help us
Everything.
unpack how this even happens.
All right. So we're talking trust, right?
Mhm.
Especially with family or close friends. That's got to be part of this whole thing.
Huge. And that's exactly why Maggard's case is like a warning siren, you know?
Totally. Best intentions, and you can still get sideswiped.
Exactly.
You've got to trust but verify. Doesn't mean you think they're out to get you.
Yeah.
It just means having some, like, bumpers in place.
Safeguards.
Yes. Like built into the business itself.
Give me an example. What kind of safeguards are we talking about?
Think regular financial statement checkups.
Not just a quick once-over.
No. We're diving deep. Balance sheets, profit and loss, the whole 9 yards.
Oh.
Looking for anything fishy.
Okay.
Independent audits, too. A fresh set of eyes to see how healthy things really are.
So it's like checks and balances even if you all get along great.
Precisely. And that leads us straight to, you got to know your rights as a minority shareholder.
Right.
Maggard's story, that's the proof. Ignorance is not a free pass.
Yep.
You've got the right to see those financial records.
Yes.
The right to be in the room when big decisions are made. And, very importantly, you can take legal action if you think something shady is going on.
All right. So say you're a minority shareholder. What are the red flags? When do you start asking the tough questions?
Well, if you're iced out of meetings, big one.
Right.
Money moving around, like big transactions, but there's no good reason why.
Right.
Or if they make it difficult for you to access info that's rightfully yours.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, those are all signs something might be off.
It's like that feeling in your gut, like, this doesn't feel right.
Exactly.
And speaking of things that might feel a little off, let's talk S-Corp and those K-1s.
Oh, boy.
Because if you've ever seen one, it's not exactly a light reading material.
That's one way to put it. And this is where it gets really interesting with Maggard's case and why it's so important to have a tax pro on your side, especially with S-Corp.
Okay, so break it down for us. Why are S-Corp and those K-1s so tricky?
Okay, so it's all about the taxes.
Right.
Regular C-Corp. Profits get taxed right then and there at the company level. But S-Corp, the income, it passes through to the shareholders, gets reported on their individual returns.
Okay.
And that K-1, that's the document that tells each shareholder their share of the income, what they're on the hook for.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So even if Maggard never actually saw any of that money,
Right.
maybe it was reinvested, maybe it was, well, mismanaged,
Right.
he's still the one who has to pay taxes on it because it was allocated to him on his K-1.
You nailed it. And that's why getting those K-1s on time and actually reading the darn things, that's
Right.
crucial. You spot any funny business, you ask questions right away, and maybe you head off a whole mess of tax problems down the line.
Which brings us to the big question.
Right.
How do we avoid ending up like Maggard?
It's all about being proactive, you know?
Okay.
Don't just sit back and wait.
Yeah.
You review those financials regularly, go to the shareholder meetings.
Be present.
Yes. And anytime something doesn't sit right with you, you ask. Dig deeper. Don't assume anything.
And probably goes without saying, but having a good tax professional in your corner,
Oh, essential.
especially someone who really understands S-Corp.
Absolutely. They're like your guide in this crazy world of legalese and finances.
Right. So as we wrap up, here's something to think about. What if you were Maggard?
Oof. Knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently? What questions would you ask?
That's a good one to sit with.
It is. This is just the beginning, though. Stay vigilant out there. And as always, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.